Welcome back to AWSbuilders.kiwi. New year, and well, AWS definitely hasn't slowed down, have they? There were so many updates this January, so we'll focus on some of the most interesting ones, the ones that'll make a difference. I think the compute updates are always a good place to start, right? I mean, there are a lot of new EC2 instances launched, the M7G instances, for example. Those are powered by the AWS Graviton 3E processors, and they're available in the UAE region now. For general purpose workloads, those should be pretty good. Oh, and also the Amazon EC2 Flex instances. They have some larger sizes now, so if you need to scale up quickly for a short time, well, there are more options there. And in storage news, Amazon EFS is now available in the AWS Mexico Central region. So if you've been waiting for this, that means high-performance file storage, closer to your users in an area. No more latency problems. The Amazon FSx family also expanded. So FSx for NetApp ONTAP, OpenZFS, Lustre, and Windows File Server are all available in the Asia-Pacific Malaysia region now. So lots of managed file storage options there now. But it's not all new regions and instances. There are updates to existing services too. For example, Amazon S3. They made some big updates to S3 tables. You can have 10,000 tables per bucket now. That's 10 times more than before. Just think about what that means. Managing massive datasets just got easier, right? Oh, and there's also now schema definition support for S3 tables, giving you more control over your data. And for those of you building cloud-native applications, some good news there as well. If you use AWS Amplify, you can now use the TypeScript data client in server-side Lambda functions. That should really streamline things when you're building serverless applications. CodeBuild also received two pretty significant updates. First, if you need granular control over who can access your build resources, you can use project and build ARN IAM condition keys now. For those of you who need that extra level of security and control, this is it. The second CodeBuild update, they added test splitting and parallelism. It's a game changer for speeding up the build process. By breaking down tests and running them in parallel, you can cut down your build time significantly. So that frees you up for, well, other things. Now let's change gears a bit and look at Elastic Beanstalk. This is a service that sometimes gets overshadowed, but it got a whole lot of updates in January. Updates that make it more powerful and easier to use. One of the biggest things is EC2, fast launch for Windows instances. That means you can launch and scale your Windows-based applications on Elastic Beanstalk much faster than before. And that saves time and resources. If you're running on Amazon Linux 2023, you can now use the latest versions of some pretty popular programming languages, like Python 3.13, .NET 9, and PHP 8.4, so you can keep your applications up to date. Of course, we can't forget about cost optimization, and Elastic Beanstalk has even more spot allocation strategies now. So that gives you more flexibility, more control over how you use those spot instances to save money. You can, fine-tune it all based on what your application needs. And here's a small detail that might seem insignificant, but it really makes a difference. Elastic Beanstalk supports EC2 launch timeware now for new environments. That means you have so much more control over how your instances are configured and how they're launched, making it easier to, maintain consistency and follow those best practices. So as you can see, Elastic Beanstalk keeps getting better, even though it's not always, in the spotlight. It's a really robust, reliable platform we've already talked about quite a bit. But we're not finished yet. All right, let's shift gears a little bit and look at database services. AWS has made some big improvements there, focusing on ease of use and resilience. For instance, DynamoDB. You can now configure point-in-time recovery periods. So that gives you more granular control over, data protection and recovery. If something goes wrong, you can pinpoint exactly how far back you need to go to restore your data. That's a huge win, especially for those businesses that really need that data durability. And for those working with DynamoDB in GovCloud, the US regions, there's a new feature called Warm Throughput. It's for tables and indexes. Basically, you can quickly scale up your DynamoDB throughput when you need to for those critical periods of high demand. It's almost like having, an extra burst of power on standby, ready to go. But let's not forget about Amazon S3. It just keeps getting better, right? S3 metadata is now generally available. So it's much easier to manage and use your metadata. Think of it as a way to add context to your data. It can help you organize, search, and analyze your S3 objects more effectively. Oh, and if you use S3 tables, good news, they're available in 5 more regions now, which means you can use S3 tables in more places, get your data closer to your users and applications. Now let's talk about security for a bit. Because all these great features don't really mean much if your data isn't secure. All right, AWS has made some updates there as well. AWS Backup, for example, is now available in the Asia-Pacific Thailand region. That should make it easier for businesses there to protect their data and make sure their business can keep running if something happens. Also, for those of you in AWS GovCloud US regions, AWS Backup now has support for organization-wide reports. So you can monitor and manage your backup compliance across your entire organization more easily. Make sure you meet those regulatory and security needs. Lastly, let's go back to compute and talk about a service that's all about optimizing resources. AWS Compute Optimizer. It's even smarter now with better idle and right-sizing recommendations. For Amazon EC2 auto-scaling groups, this is a big deal for anyone managing large-scale infrastructure. You can find and get rid of any wasted EC2 spot. Make sure you have just the right amount of resources for your applications. And, well, it ties into auto-scaling. So you can scale up or down as needed, keep that optimal performance, but, without going over budget. Well, we've covered a lot in this episode of AWS Builders.Kiwi. New EC2 instances, storage options, serverless tools, and even security. AWS just keeps going, doesn't it? But what does it all mean for you? You see, it's not just about, the new features. It's about making you a better builder, building faster, smarter, more security. Think about those Amazon EC2 Flex instances with the larger sizes. Now you can get that extra power when you need it for those short, resource-heavy tasks without spending a fortune. That's what AWS is all about. Or the expanded support for S3 tables. More regions means you can process data and run analytics in even more places. Get those insights quickly, make better decisions. And remember those code build updates. Faster builds means you can move faster, try new things, get your product out there quicker. All these updates, they're all about helping you reach your full potential. So as we finish up this look at the January updates, I want to leave you with a challenge. What are you going to build next? Is there a project you've been putting off, something that seemed, too complicated? Well, now you have all these tools, all these features from AWS. The possibilities are, almost endless. So go build something amazing and let AWS help you along the way. That's it for this month. See you next time for more exciting AWS news.